Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. So this past weekend we celebrated my 38th birthday. And what did we do? We camped for 2 nights at the Florida Caverns State Park. We loved it. I thought it was great. We had a great time. I thought today I would tell y'all a little bit about the campground, give you a little review on the caverns, and tell you what we liked, what we didn't like, and stuff like that. So let's get into it. Okay, so first we'll talk about the campground and then we'll talk about the caverns. So as of March 2026, for 2 nights of camping at the Florida Caverns State Park, anyways, it cost $67.45. First thing you need to know about the campground is it's very open. There's no privacy. There's barely any trees. There's also no shade. We normally don't camp in places like that, but we really wanted to go to the caverns. So we went, and also a 3-hour trip for us is not really a day trip. So we stayed at the Caverns State Park. Also to let you know that all the sites are gravel, except for a few handicap sites which are paved. So if you're a tent camper, then, be warned, have some cushion because it's all gravel. Other than that, we actually liked the gravel because it kept the area a lot cleaner. So it, depends on your preferences. Another thing about the campsites is that they are very small, tight, narrow, whatever you want to call it. And if you have like a big RV or big rig or something, it's gonna be kind of hard to park. It could potentially be hard to park. So just keep that in mind if you have a big RV when you're camping. There is also a so-called spring that you can swim in. I would never swim in this spring. We are used to swimming in crystal clear springs where we live and not dirty, unclear water. So I guess that's a preference. We did stick our feet in the water. We'd sit on the dock and stick our feet in the water and cool off because it was nice and cold, but I wouldn't swim in it. It's only a 0.4 mile walk if you go by the road, or you can take a little trail that is off of the bathhouse near the woodshed. There's a trail that goes to the water area that is really short. But yeah, speaking of the woodshed, that was really cool because you can scan the QR code with your phone and pay through your phone and just get your bundle of wood that way. So I thought that that was great. It was really convenient for us when we're setting up our van. We're set up and we usually don't leave because then we have to put up the awning and we have to pop down the tent on the roof. And so we don't like to leave once we get to the campsite. So having the wood available to get that was really great. And the bundle of wood cost, let me see, $9.62. So it is what it is. Our kids demand s'mores. So we had to buy wood so we could make s'mores. So that was that. So just to the right of the entrance to the actual campsites, there is about a 1 mile trail. It was the Sinkhole River Trail. You could walk it, you could bike it. We biked it. It didn't take that long. As far as the river, there wasn't much to look at, but we are currently in an extreme drought. Like I think this is the worst drought we've had in like 30 years. So maybe if we had some rain, it might look a little nicer. I don't know. I can't say for sure what it would look like. It wasn't that impressive, but it was a good enough trail. So I would recommend that. It's a nice little thing to do. I know a big question that a lot of people have with camping is always, how was the bathhouse? It wasn't the cleanest bathhouse I've ever been in, the nicest bathhouse. It also wasn't the dirtiest, but it wasn't maintained super well, but I guess that can also depend on like campground hosts and stuff like that. I do know for us, since we van camp, we have to wash our dishes in the sink up by like the washing machines and stuff like that. So that one, the very first night, someone washed something really gross and got it clogged up. Nobody ever unclogged that sink the entire time we were there. I mean, we were there 2 nights, so it wasn't forever, but still nobody unclogged it. It was really gross. And I was a little disappointed in that. Also, the men's and women's handicapped bathrooms, no, sorry, showers were not working. They were out of order. So, you know, if you need the handicapped showers, maybe call ahead if you're like very recently gonna go soon. Otherwise, you know, hopefully they'll fix it by the time you go camping, if you go camping there. But just keep that in mind that they were out of order. The best part of the campground that I thought was amazing, I had not seen anything about this, didn't know it was there. Right outside the bathhouse, they have a bat house. So just after 7 o'clock, we got to sit there and watch all the bats come out of the bat house. I counted at least 300. I did lose count. There could have been more. But I thought that was a really cool experience. I really enjoyed seeing the bats come out. We watched them both nights. It was awesome. That was definitely something unique to this campground because I've never seen a bat house at any other campground we've been to. But I did think that that was really cool. It was a cool experience. Okay, now it's time to talk about the actual caverns themselves. I thought it was great. Our tour guide was great. He did a good job. We had a small group of just 12 people in our little tour, and we thought the caverns were beautiful. I loved it, and that's all I gotta say is I loved it. I think it was a great experience. I highly recommend that you go. I think it's well worth the money. For 2 adults and 2 kids, it cost us $53.75. But like I said, it's really a nice experience. I loved it and I would recommend going to it. I thought it was well worth the money. If you are camping and you decide you want to bike ride to the caverns, that is a great option. It was about 2 miles from the campsite to the caverns, and it took us about 15 minutes to ride. We didn't ride super fast or anything like that. I will warn you, if you have small children, there is a very short, steep uphill. I barely made it up there. But anyways, if you have small kids, you might have to get off your bike and walk up the hill. And then remember that on your way back, it is a fantastic downhill ride. But if you have small children, you might want to be careful because it really zooms you down. But I did enjoy the bike ride. It was only 15 minutes, like I said, about 2 miles. So that is an option if you are camping and like us, you van camp and you don't want to pack everything down to drive away to the caverns. So when you go to the caverns, they tell you to be there, to arrive 30 minutes before your tour time starts. And if you do that, there is a gift shop and there's a little museum. You can walk around and both those are entertaining, good stuff to look at. One warning, when you go to the caverns, you cannot take any kind of bag, backpack, even a fanny pack. I had my fanny pack and I had to rent a locker to put my fanny pack in. It's a fanny pack, it's small, like it doesn't take any space, but no bags whatsoever of any kind are allowed in the caverns. But in the museum area, there are a few lockers. You pay $1.50, put your bag in there, lock it, grab the key. So it's a one-time thingamajig, whatever you want to call it. So there's that option, but remember, no bags of any kind inside the cavern. Another thing is they did have like a food truck type thing, and they had tables and chairs and stuff you could sit in and eat. The food truck was a little expensive for our budget. We didn't buy anything from there, so I can't say if the food was good or bad, but there is food available. There are a few trails to hike around the cave area. The best trail is the Bluff Trail, is the best trail in the whole park. It actually kind of gives you mountain vibes. It was kind of steep. It is not stroller friendly. Let me tell you that first thing. It is 3/4 mile. It took us about 25 minutes to hike it. And we were hiking fast because we were really hungry and we wanted to hike it and go back to the camper and eat. But anyways, the best part of it was the tunnel cave. There is a legit tunnel that you can walk through and like squeeze yourself out the end. It was absolutely amazing. And if you have a flashlight or something, shine it in the roof when you walk through. We saw cave crickets. Cave crickets. I was so excited. I would show you a picture, but the picture did not turn out good. But I promise you, we saw cave crickets. But yeah, tunnel, cave, awesome. Highly recommend it. If you don't want to walk the whole trail, it actually ends in the parking lot. So if you start in the parking lot, it's like just like probably like 2-minute walk to the tunnel cave, and you can do that and then go back if you don't want to walk the whole trail. Highly recommend it. One of the coolest experiences I've done. It was awesome. I thought it was awesome. I really did. It was so cool. All in all, it was a good trip. I had a great time. If we were to do things different, we would only stay one night. There's really not much to do there. In my opinion, I would get there at 3 when you can check in, and then I would hike the couple little trails and stuff like that that are near the campground. The next morning, eat breakfast, pack up, drive to the caverns, hike those trails, do the tour, and go home. For 2 nights, there's just really not a lot to do. I highly recommend it for one night. One night was great. But 2 nights, there's really not much to do there. I don't know. I would only go for one night. So while we were there, it was blazing hot between like 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock until the sun went down. It was quite hot. And if you're like us and you don't have AC, you got to find something to do while you shade hop under like the tiny little trees that are in the campsite, or in the shade of our van is where we kind of hung out. One thing we like to do is we like to bring card games. We are big into Skip-Bo, and we also played Uno. So that was really fun. We did that. A cool thing was that they have one of those little free libraries by the bathhouse, and someone had put a 300-piece puzzle in with the books or whatever. So I grabbed that up and I did that. I sat in our van and used our cooler as a table, and it worked great. For now on, I got to invest in some small 300-piece puzzles because that was amazing. I love puzzles, and I thought that was a great idea, especially if you can get one that's small enough that fits on your cooler. This one like barely fit, but I did think that was super cool. But yeah, it was blazing hot, not much shade, so bring something to do. We also brought lots of books. We read books. I'm a big reader. I read books all the time. Things like that. One of my sons, he drew a bunch of pictures. So make sure you have something to do while you're just hanging out in the shade, because it was hot. So on to the frugal side of camping. Camping is going to cost different for everybody because it depends on how far you live away from your campground and, your gas mileage. So in our van, we get like 12 miles to the gallon. It's really sad. So a quarter of our cost for camping this trip was just gas, because also gas prices just like are through the roof right now. It's crazy. So that's a quarter of our cost. The total cost of everything, well, that's going to be the same for everybody, was $130.82. And that was the actual campsite, the cavern tour, and one bundle of firewood, because s'mores. So $130.82. That one we couldn't get around. Everything else is gas and food, and that is totally up to each individual person. For us, we like to go cheap and easy. Hamburgers, hot dogs, sandwiches. For breakfast, we do pancakes for the kids because we can do that really easy. So I get Ziploc bags and I scoop out, I think, like 2 cups of pancake mix. Then when we get there, we put it in a bowl, stir some water in, easy peasy lemon squeezy, you got pancakes. And then for me and my husband, I will crack 6 eggs into a mason jar. So 2 mason jars, 6 eggs each, scramble those up before we leave the house. And then you don't have to worry about eggshells and dealing with all that. You just dump it out, cook it, and we'll have eggs and toast. Sometimes grits, it depends on how we're feeling. But usually it's just eggs and toast, really simple. And you can make camping expensive or cheap, really depending on your food. And like I said, how far you want to go, like distance-wise, gas mileage, you got to put all that into your thinking. But yeah, I like camping. Well, I guess that's it for today. I hope you are inspired to go visit the Florida Caverns because I highly recommend it. Super cool. Do not forget the tunnel cave because that was awesome and that's free. If you don't want to do the caverns, do the tunnel cave. See a cave cricket. Why not? I really hope you liked this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, give me a like and I'll see you next time. Bye.